my god, testing 1, 2, 3, testing. Oh my god. Ah, there I am watching myself. My god. Okay, good. Okay. Well, I'm just I think we'll start with little music. Hey Zen. Hold on, I'm a little bit early. I'm gonna wait for people to get in here. Ah. Didn't get too much sleep last night. Looks like we got 5 people in here. Oh crap. Just dumped some. Just tipped over my jar here. So. Well, I guess we might as well start here in a minute. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta find my links here. Hold on. Master of Magic unofficial rally point. Okay. Yeah, alright. There we go. Okay, so... I love Unity 3D. Yeah, Unity 3D is amazing. Yeah, it's like for anybody who's done the like old school style of programming, you know, where you did just about everything yourself. Having something like Unity is just a godsend. Oh, no, hold on a minute. I gotta go get like a paper towel or something. I spilled something. Damn this chair. There we go. Give me a second. Okay, a bit on... Yeah, a bit early. Is it possible to see how the remake looks in the background? Well, we haven't actually done, done the remake yet, but I'll show you some... I'll show you what I have started. Watched Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the 2002 movie. Yeah, really? Okay. Alright, so a bit about the history. So, yeah, this game, there's been people who have tried to get the license for this game. And the last I heard was Starduck. Starduck, who did... What did they do here? Hold on a minute. Let's see. What did Starduck do? What was the project called with Starduck? I'm trying to find it. Anyway, well, Starduck. Anyway, they tried to get the license from Atari. What would the remake look like graphically? Gee, I wish I could show you. I wish I had something like that to show you right now. I would say here. Let me go to my Unity here. Okay. Hopefully my computer can handle this and stream it at the same time. So, all right, this is not, the color scheme or anything. Okay, here is the deal, right? So, this would be kind of the view mode. Like, it would be hexes. And as you can see, it's I don't know what you call this view. It'd be 3/4 or something like that. They're scrunched a little down, so it looks like you're kind of looking over them a little bit. But you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You'd have like 15 across, 15 down, something like that. That, it would be 2D, and let me find this hex real quick. Hold on a minute. So I'll show you. So what basically, let's go ahead and just add. No, I don't want to do that. Delete. Add a sprite, and I'll just grab one of my sprites. Like let's say this is your. Okay, this is from Maze Quest 2. This sprite, but just pretend. Gonna have to be a lot of pretending here. Because I don't have it really, I haven't had time to really work on too much here. Okay, so let's say that's your tower, and it would be that's about the view that I would want here. Zoom in a little bit. So that's about the angle. That's your tower. And my idea was it wouldn't be cornflakes, huh? Hey, Jose. It wouldn't be like, alright, so we all know the strategy games. You set a city here, you make a settler, you set a city there. That's a Civ style of strategy games. A lot of strategy games have adopted that. And I, as a player of those strategy games, have a real problem with that system. Namely, just the city spam, the complexity when you get to a really large empire. It's just the micromanagement hell or macromanagement hell. And so instead of just, say, here's a city, make a settler, here's another city, here's another city, here's another city. How about just one city? You start here with your tower, and you start with, let's say, a ring of hexes. Let's say these hexes right here. And then you say, okay, I want to expand into a hex. Let's buy or something or acquire that hex somehow. And then you acquire that hex and that hex and that hex. And you kind of build your own city. And almost in the vein of SimCity. A little bit. And then you put, improvements on each hex, etc., etc. And I would make a rule so where you can't just, say, buy hexes in a straight line that way. You have to buy hexes near two hexes, either near your tower or they have to be near two adjacent hexes. So if you had these two hexes, you could buy this hex, and then you could buy this hex, and then you could buy this hex. So you you could still kind of make like a thing, but it wouldn't be so much that you could just make a straight line because there'd be increasing amounts of maintenance the further away you got from, say, your tower, which would kind of act like a capital. But then you could, to decrease the maintenance, you could, say, buy or make like a courthouse or something like that. This type of thing. But it would be one city. You wouldn't make settlers or anything like that. You just expand or acquire hexes, and your city would grow that way. Usually I use Unity for a graph presentation. Hammering nails with a microscope. Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah. So this is the beginning of like an engine to scroll through a hex map. Basically, it's a lot more complicated than I originally thought. Like I'm still getting the kinks worked out there. As you can see, I've got it doesn't quite scroll right yet. But basically, we make a hex map as big as we want it. And we just scroll through with a window, and that decreases the horrible like lag that would happen if you were to make them, you know, like thousands of objects in Unity. Anyway, so let's get back to the history a little bit. This is my project, yes. I'm not saying it's like the. Hold on a minute. Let me shut that down because I think that's lagging my computer to the point where my video output is low. Let's see what it says here. Okay, I think we're okay now. Well, this is the deal. So, you know, I spent a year and a half making Maze Quest 2. Before that, it was like a year to make Maze Quest 1. Before that, it was some other game, Space Scavenger. I know how to do this. I've made big, long, complex projects before. I can do that. That's no problem. And I can finish. I've done that, you know, 3 times already. The trick is funding, and I was thinking Kickstarter. I would have to get like a prototype, like something that I would be able to show people saying, this is what it's kind of going to look like. And that would take a little while. About probably about a month and a half to do that. But I just want to go through real quickly the history of Master of Magic remakes. So we had Startup tried to acquire the license for Magic, Master of Magic. I think it's got with Atari right now, and Atari basically wanted a bunch of money or too much money. They offered them. They said 6 figures. I don't know how much of 6 figures, but Atari apparently didn't want that much, It was too little for Atari apparently. Atari turned them down, so they actually made, you know, they didn't get the license, so they made a similar game. I believe a lot of people were pretty disappointed with that. I forget what the game was. Master of the Galaxy? I forgot what they called it. But there's also been, of course, the Age of Wonders series. I played Age of Wonders 2. Okay, you can contribute on Kickstarter. That's great. I will definitely keep you updated, and that's like probably my best chances to do a Kickstarter. There's enough interest, I think, in that game still that it would probably be possible to get it funded that way. It would have to be, as far as the numbers go, it would have to be like, we'd have to make about 30,000 on Kickstarter to actually do it. Elemental, yeah. It as far as I think most people, or a lot of people are concerned, the spiritual successor to Master of Magic has never really happened. I think Age of Wonders did some interesting things, but ultimately I think it really, if you strip away like the magic side of Master of Magic, it's just civilization, right? All you need is a good name for Kickstarter success, yeah. No crack Scott, well, I don't know. I don't know. That's like far ahead in the future that we have to worry about, like what spells. But, like, what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, Age of Wonder. Yeah, if you strip away like the magic aspect of Master of Magic, is really just a civilization game, right? The thing that it did well was the magic aspect, the summoning, all the crazy spells it had. That was what made that game unique, and that's what has not really been replicated. So, you know, I know how to properly replicate it. It also had, you know, not just replicate it, but take it and actually make it a lot better. But the thing is that, yeah, a lot of that stuff would have to be, a lot of those mechanics were like, they were the fledgling version of what they should have been. It was made in an era where you didn't have much memory, you didn't have much processing power, so they had to do things like on a very limited scale. But nowadays, yeah, nowadays, I mean, geez, what you can do compared to what you could do back then. I mean, there's amazing things that you could do with that spell system that has never been done yet because I don't know, I think a lot of people who were remaking the game just didn't get it. A lot of people who tried to remake that game just did not get it. What made that game good? It's not Civilization with spells. It's it's a huge, complicated spell system with a civilization aspect. It's kind of they had it reversed. That was a good. Age of Wonders 2 is a good example of that, where the spell system is kind of meh. It's there, but it's not really that. It's mostly about building your town and stuff. Um, but I'm saying, I'm not saying Age of Wonders was a bad game. It was a great game, but it didn't really do what Master of Magic did with his spells, and it failed on that front. It was weak, very weak on that front. So, let's see, where should I go from here? So, yeah, like I said, so what we would have to do, we definitely couldn't buy the license. If somebody else couldn't get the license, I certainly couldn't for, pittance that I could pay for it. But spiritual successor is perfectly legal to do, and I could do a really good one. Yeah, it wasn't well. I mean, Age of Wonders was well executed in certain aspects, but as far as the trying to capture the Master of Magic feel, it just kind of dipped, just kind of, scratched the surface really. You hated Age of Wonders 1 units, yeah. Well, I played Age of Wonders 2. I thought it was okay. It's just like I said, it was not a replacement for Master Magic. No way. Well, so what would be done anyway is we'd have to do a Kickstarter, and my brother says that if I can get the whole thing organized, then he could run it. That's nice because I really personally I prefer just to focus on programming and art and not have to worry about the business side or anything. So that's if we can get there, we can get a go. By the way, the guy that did yeah. The guy that did the music for Maze Quest 2, a guy called Christopher Getman, also known as Maze Dude, he actually knows George Sanger, the guy that did the music for Master of Magic and a bunch of other SimTech games, like Master of Orion too. I thought that was interesting, and it's possible that if I do a Kickstarter, we might actually be able to get some kind of plug for him or something like that, get a little bit of free press. But anyway, about the mechanics. So this is kind of what I want to talk about a little bit and get your guys' feedback on. So, like I said, going back to see, I probably can't run this because I don't know, my stream. I think my computer can't handle running a Unity and streaming at the same time. But okay, so one city, Maze Dude. Yeah, that was Christopher Getman. Master of Orion 2 music was actually made. I'm not sure, but George Sanger, the Fat Man, aka the Fat Man, did the music for Master of Magic and I believe Master of Orion. Maybe not Master of Orion 2. I don't know. But he did music for a bunch of games back then. He was actually quite well known. Yeah, Master of Orion 2 was good. The music. So yeah, okay. So one city that solves the problem of the horrible macro management hell, but it's like a city that you make out of hexes. You buy your territory with hexes, and you have walls, you have all sorts of things. Basically, it would take all of the... Let me see if I can... Well... Now, I'll just describe it. Okay, basically you take all of the city development inside the towns in Master of Magic, and you take them and you place them on the hex board. So a granary, instead of saying, okay, build a granary, then a this, then a that, you say, okay, build a granary, or maybe more than one granary, on this hex, this hex, this hex, and then build whatever's next, like, maybe you need to have, like, a marketplace adjacent to 2 granaries. So you put down 2 granaries, and then you say, okay, now I can build the marketplace, put that next to 2 granaries. And maybe I want another marketplace, put another one there, another one there, another one there, etc. And each marketplace adds, it's kind of like a tile improvement in Civ 4 or Civ 5. It adds a specific bonus. That bonus might be modified a bit by, say, your race or whatever, or the race of that tile. You want to build units. Okay, let's build a barracks. You can only build, let's say, a barracks next to this tile, so you have to put down another tile, like, say, a farm. Hey, barrack. And, you can build more than one. Like, for each barracks you build, you get... Am I going to remake the game on stream? No, I'm not. I'm just talking about it. For each barracks you build, you get, say, a bonus to your unit production, so you can build units faster. So if you wanted to, say, if you wanted to be a warmonger, directly with a bunch of units, you'd build a bunch of barracks. So that would make your unit production faster. Anyway, these are, like I said, these are ideas that I have. I have them a little bit more better spelled out here, but I'm just quickly running through them. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring up... Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up... This is how I do things here. I have a huge list of notes. So, let's see. That's not the right game. All right, so these are my notes for... No, I'm sorry, that's Maze Quest 2. This is okay. One thing I want to touch on is the spells. And so, Master of Magic, I think one of the really cool things about it was the way you cast spells. You're like, okay, I want to cast this really expensive spell. You're going to have to wait, 5 turns. It has an actual cost, but you can actually splice that cost over several turns. That was really... I don't think that's ever been done before as far as a casting system. That was one of the very unique things about that game. It had some other mechanics that were kind of cool. One of them was kind of like spell overloading. Okay, you could cast, like in battle, you could cast like a lightning bolt. And then you could say, okay, well, I want to cast this lightning bolt a little bit more powerful, so let's add mana to that. And then the damage increased a certain amount. I thought that was really good, but I also thought it was under-implemented in that game. Tell you more about the art part of it, Dimitri? I'll just make a note here. Let me just finish what I'm saying here. So, I think you should have it. I tried to do this with Maze Quest 2, but it was a little bit too complicated because you had to click too much because of basically it was a mobile game, and so I didn't really implement this at all. I had to take it out of Maze Quest 2, but the idea of spell overloading. So, okay, so I would, instead of having like spell power be a main factor, I would say let's make mana be a main factor. And when you cast a spell, any spell, you can choose to like use more mana and cast it at a higher level essentially. However, each level you cast it above the normal one adds an extra cost. So let's say you cast it at, let's say, double the mana cost. It would actually, the extra mana cost would actually be a little bit more than double. So it may be, like for that extra level, maybe you'd cast it at, you'd have to spend another extra 25% mana. So something costs 10 mana to cast at level 1, but you want to cast it at level 2, so you have to spend like 20, let's see, 22% mana? Or 22 mana? 22.5, but the 0.5 would probably just be discarded. So, and if you wanted to cast it at level 3, God, whatever that would be, like 30, like 35, 36 mana instead of just 30 mana for 3 times the spell power. Something like that. So, you know, that would be for all spells, even spells known by heroes, etc. So that's one of those things that I think was would be really neat to implement, really important, I think, in kind of recapturing that system. Yeah, counter magic, and I'm not sure what spell that is you're trying to say there. Yeah, counter magic was one you said, okay, let's cast a counter magic spell, and then you're like, well, let's add, you know, all this magic to it. However, there was a limit in there, and there was a limit, and it only lets you, you know, pump it up so much. In this version that I would do, there would be no limit. If you have enough mana, you know, and you want to cast a counter magic spell with added mana of however much mana you got. Likewise, you know, if you wanted to cast a lightning bolt spell and you wanted to overload that with extra mana, you could add as much mana as you got available. Yeah. All right. Well, that's anyway. So hold on. Let me just talk about the art real quick. The art would be 2D, and it would be basically enough to be immersive. Since I would be doing the art myself at the same time as the programming, you know, probably, you know, it would be minimalistic, but as immersive as I could make it. So, you know, it would be 2D. It would be, you know, it would be an added angles, kind of like on, you know, hexes. Think of like an army men, you know, just set on a hex there. Probably like that, at least initially. Have I thought about it doing the MTG way? Having random spells, limited actions, forces you to think in different ways. MTG, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Yeah, spells to change terrain and invisibility spells. Those would be in there. Except there would be working, like invisibility and Master of Magic. I don't think actually works, but or some version of that doesn't work. Yeah, invisibility and change terrain spells would be definitely there. Let me go over another thing that I wanted to mention is about the units, and so Master of Magic, being rather limited as I think a 16-bit DOS game at the time, it really couldn't store much information about units. How would I compare the graphics I'm thinking of to Heroes 1? I would say Heroes 3 would be a comparable thing, except you know, it wouldn't be pre-rendered because it takes too much time. I would try to make it look kind of like Heroes 3, but at an angle. Heroes 3 was kind of like top down mostly, but it would be a little bit more angled. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to talk about the units. So it basically being a 16-bit game, it couldn't really store that much information. So you'd have you know, you'd have a unit, you'd have these spells on the unit. That was, you know, probably a flag, I'm guessing. There are a number of copyright issues about, well, there's copyright issues about a remake, but not a spiritual successor. And what I'm talking about is basically a spiritual successor. Yeah, the unit. Hey, Akuma Yoki. The unit, like it would have the units level. You know, I don't believe you could name units. Yeah, so the units level, the units type, you know, the spells on a unit, which were just flags, I'm guessing. You know, and that was it. It didn't have any, like, unique stats to it, other than, you know, a few flags, like if it had, like, demonic wings or something like that. But nowadays, we got enough memory that we can keep, individual stats on a unit. What level, each level would not just be a level and there's your stats. It would be, well, maybe he gains this or that, this level, variables. Also, you could do things like you could, forge unique bonuses for units or train units with unique bonuses. Hey, Paulies. What about cooperation on art? Well, it would probably mean, I don't know. I either have to get somebody professionally who would work for free, or I would have to do it myself. I would choose to do it myself because I probably couldn't pay anybody for the art. So, I'm not a bad artist, though. I could do it. Yeah, kind of like, not really, because I think with as many units as I'd won in this game, you wouldn't have time to, like, level them all individually, or maybe you would, I don't know. But basically, each unit, individually gets, bonuses when they level up. It's, there's certain range, they might gain special abilities. So it wouldn't be like the old version where you just had, like, say, a slinger, and every level 1 slinger was the same, every level 5 slinger was the same. When they leveled up, they might have a chance to become a little bit different. Or you might, you might train them skills, via things in your town. You might be able to train individual units with different, special skills or increase their abilities a little bit. Another thing I wanted to do, so the way I imagine units would be, you can stack an infinite number of units in the same hex, right? Just like, let's say, Civ 4, right? You could put as many units as you want in the same square. I was thinking of a system like that, and I was also thinking that if you stacked units of the same type, all in the same square or hex, in this case, hex, they would all get a bonus of experience per turn. Say, 1 experience per turn, per unit, per level. So if you had, like, 5 cavalry just all in the same hex and you just left them there, they would gain 5 experience per turn for each of them. But they'd have to be the same type of unit. Barrack, well, I don't know, Barrack, can you do that, like, well, if you have that ability to work for free, and, or very little, then maybe I'll take you up on that, I don't know. Stack knights on dragons and make dragon riders. Is there something similar like that in Wake of the Gods? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually played. I've never actually played Wake of the Gods. You work for a percentage? Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe we can talk about that. Depends on how it goes. But yeah, that's one thing. Because in Master Magic, it did have that skill that enabled some units to train. Like heroes to train. Everything stacked with them. I thought, hey, why not just do kind of an equivalent of sharing ideas kind of thing between your troops, where if they're all the same type of troop, they'll gain some experience per turn for each of them that's there, something like that. Anyway, let's see. I also have so the race traits. There would be different races, humans, halflings, elves, lizardmen, whatever. I thought I'd add undead. And humans get a little bonus to their farms and penalty to their security. Undead get less food for their farms and bonus security. And I also thought no espionage would be possible against undead. Halflings, more food, more happiness. Elves, magic point per population and a little bit penalty to growth. Lizardmen plus growth. Plus, each of these races would have their own units. Different, or some variations of the units. Would there be any special kinds of terrain on battle maps for tactical positioning? Yeah, I was thinking of battle maps would be the same. Yeah, it would be a hex map. It would be larger, and it would, yes, it would have different varying terrains, unlike Master of Magic 1, which basically just flat and maybe a little bit of, like, rough terrain in the middle. Yeah, it would be, large. There'd be hills and stuff like that. There'd be some obstacles, maybe. Or maybe it'd be better not to have any obstacles. You just, have a movement penalty. But, yeah, much larger battle for sure. What about if you get +1 population, you expand and choose a hex? Oh, well, yeah, sir. I was thinking the thing about population. Well, I suppose that's possible. That's actually something I could think about. That's an interesting idea. Hold on. Population mechanics. I'm not saying for sure that's what I do, but that's something I need to think about. Gain population, gain a hex. Yeah, it might be to get another hex, you have to grow or you have to spend kind of population. Maybe spend population. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how it's going to pan out, but I'll think about that actually. Yeah, hexagons. Yeah, we're doing hexes here. Hexagons, they're just a lot neater. Let's see. All right. Oh, walls. So if you just make a big city with a bunch of hexes sprawled out, you're vulnerable to just enemy units just coming in and just pillaging your hexes that you've built up. So you can add walls, and all a wall does is basically anybody in the city who's considered inside the city connected to that wall, and you can draw a line kind of to that wall and see if a unit's connected or not. If they're connected and an enemy comes and attacks the wall, tries to break the wall, then they go into battle, and depending on how far away the unit is, the unit can join that battle in so many turns because they are, essentially in the city, right? Or connected to that wall. And that's how walls will work. So they're basically the first line of defense there. What's my opinion about zones of control around units and attacks of opportunity? I actually haven't put too much thought into zones of control yet, Polys. My thinking is that, most of the mechanics for the combat, I haven't really thought deeply into things like zone of control yet. Zone of control is probably a good idea, though. Hey, Oleg. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, the undead do not grow population and do not need food. Yeah, that's my thoughts for the undead was probably maybe skip the food or something like that. Yeah, I had kind of the same idea. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, what was I saying here? Okay. Oh yes, unit traits. Units have default equipment that can be upgraded for all units, or you can give them equipment you find. So every unit, like if you produce a swordsman, he comes with a default like low-level sword, shield, whatever. You can just leave that on him, or you can specifically like put things in those slots that will override that. So essentially, like in Master of Magic 1, or the Master of Magic, you had units and you had heroes, and heroes were the only thing that could equip or really get any uniqueness to them. But in this game I want to do, basically every unit is very unique. Like you can equip them if they have the ability to hold equipment. You can equip them. You can kind of configure a lot of their stats in various ways, like giving them maybe giving them some promotion, things like that. Kind of units like gear, like in Endless Legend, kind of. Although they won't really have gear technically. They will just start and they will, as a default, like a swordsman will have a default sword. You don't have to do anything there. That's covered in the cost of making them. But you can, you know, like you can get maybe what do I want to say? You can get something that say you can research or pay for that upgrades all of your swordsmen to maybe a level 2 sword, or you can just literally, let's say you find a nice sword in a dungeon, you can give that sword to one of your units, one of your swordsman units, and he will use that. I've never played Fallen Enchantress, so I have no idea. Did you miss the demo? There wasn't much of a demo. I showed some scrolling through a hex map, and that was about it. Sorry, Aldoon. I don't have like, this is a really complicated game, and I have not had any time to really put together a real demo. Long sleeveless shorts. What? My gear, my rope, my clothes right now? Yeah. I need to look into Fallen Enchantress. Sounds very much like I doubt that this is like that. I doubt it. But I'll look into it. Yeah. Yeah, well that's basically the idea. Yeah, you can give like you can just leave them like generic units their stuff that they come with, or you can actually give them stuff that you find. Let's see. Espionage idea. I don't like the idea of physical spies like in Civ 4. That's a pain in the butt. No physical spies, but it's just kind of like it's a percentage of the money you allocate to spying. Basically, that kind of determines your success. To spy, must have the same race as resides in your empire you're spying on. Maybe. I was thinking of spying being you need some way to actually get the information. So, like, let's say that you have a population of orcs and there's an empire full of orcs, then that would give you, like, some connection there that you could maybe get some espionage going. I could probably get both games for very cheap now. Yeah, well, I want spying, but I also don't like the games where you. Civ 5 is horrible with this. Is where you can do really nothing against spies. They're going to steal from you eventually anyway. I would like a mechanic where you can completely shut down spying if you really want to say, if you really want to abuse your population in that manner. I'm hot and I'm cold. Okay. Well. Let's see. Oh yes. I thought of maybe borrowing some world/national wonder idea from Civ. Like let's say to make some wonder, but as a prerequisite, say you need a bunch of hexes with a certain type of improvement all around where you would build that. I haven't thought too much about that, but I kind of want to have that kind of mechanic. Inquisition, yeah. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's the kind of thing where you could really, if you really wanted to stop all spying, you could, but it would be costly in terms of your happiness or whatever. Huh. Okay, and as far as like hex improvements, let's say, you start with a capital, and that gives you, a certain amount of base production per turn, a certain amount of, income per turn in like currency and magic. Yeah, no tech bait. Yeah, I don't want a tech tree. I want a spell tree where you research spells, but I don't want the tech tree. And it basically, instead of the tech tree, it's kind of like Master of Magic had, where you build one building to build another. I wanted something kind of like that, but except you build the buildings on the hexes, and maybe like to build, let's say, a marketplace, you have to have a couple of granaries built on a couple of hexes, and then you can build a marketplace right next to those. To build a barracks, you have to build like a couple of farms first, and then you can build the barracks right next to the farms. Things like that. Can you pre-order? Not yet. Not yet, Ed. But eventually, hopefully. Yeah, I'm trying to do a. I'm trying to do a. Probably going to do a Kickstarter for this. That's what the idea I'm kicking around. Hold on, let me restart the music here. But yeah, that's kind of the like the build tree. That's kind of the way I wanted to implement kind of the build tree instead of like a tech tree, because I don't really like the tech tree way of doing things. I do want the spell thing where you research different spells. I do want that. Done by May. God dang, dude. This would probably take at least about half a year to get a working, like, something you could actually play, and then probably another, you know, another 6 months to actually finish completely, I'm guessing. It's a big project. Let's see. So, production points. So, each turn, you have a certain number of production points based on, like, the stuff you have. Yeah. You have a certain number of production points. We will call it general production points. That, you know, the capital, let's say, starts with 10 production points. So every turn, you can use those production points to, say, build something in one hex. Like, let's say you build a farm for 5 production points. You still have 5. If you don't use those 5 before your turn is up, then that 5 production points is converted somehow into, like, money. So you don't actually lose that. So that's kind of also a way of, instead of building wealth like you do in a lot of these games, you just don't build anything and you automatically get the money for that turn. This would be pure PC because no, I wouldn't do the assigned pop tiles like in Civ, Aldoon. No, I actually don't like that system. It's basically you have a hex with a farm on it. It produces like so much food, and that's it. You don't have to mess with it. Yeah, that's it. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, production points. Yeah, I was thinking of separating maybe just general production points for buildings, and production points for units. You know, training points, and maybe like I don't know what you call them. But anyway, I was thinking of maybe separating those out. Like, let's say barracks. You build barracks and hexes. Those add to your training points, but not your production points. You build, let's say, workshops and hexes. Those add to your being able to build stuff points, but not your training points. So, yeah, the idea I have with this game is you could play this game kind of just however you want. There would be so many different ways to actually play this game and win. You could go. This was kind of what they had with Master Magic a little bit. You could go just building your cities, or you could just go for the magic. Those kind of two ways to win. Same kind of thing. Would you be able to rush by? Yeah, I do like that system. Yeah, but of course, it would be more expensive. But yeah, I do like the system of being able to rush by. And, just pay for stuff, like, outright. So, yeah, from the start, too. I don't like how you have to wait for it in Civ 4. Let's see here. What else do I have here? I haven't even really talked about Magic, but Magic, basically, same idea. Oh, it would definitely be a 4X game, bullies. Magic, okay, so I like the Magic system in Master of Magic. This one would be fairly similar. So your capital would produce a base number of mana. Also, you could build buildings in hexes that would produce mana, kind of like you would build, the temple or whatever in Master of Magic. But except you just put it on individual hexes. So if you really wanted to make a Magic strong empire, you would say, okay, let's just make a bunch of these mana-producing buildings on all these hexes and forget about things like barracks and stuff. Armageddon spell. Oh, sure, there'd be spells like that. Nodes. I'm not sure about the nodes thing. I think it's a good idea. I think the nodes thing is a good idea. I would probably handle it a little bit differently. So, on each hex that spawns on the map, there'd be maybe a chance of spawning a resource like gold, silver, or some special resource for that adds to your ability to build units or whatever. I want to like a list of resources, wood, gold, stuff that you use to build buildings and maybe units. And I think the node thing would come in as to where certain hexes would spawn with mana production, and on that you could maybe even augment that by building a special mana building on that node, and that would augment it even further. So, and that's kind of the node idea I had. I didn't really have I wasn't really going to copy exactly the node system there because it's okay, but I didn't really for all the changes I'm going to make. I think something you need kind of some other system. Yeah, you definitely have strategic resources. You definitely have kind of the equivalent of nodes, but not exactly the same thing. Like where you got a nature thing, a death thing or whatever. Yeah, that'd kind of be how it is, like the crystals on Mirror. But you'd probably have to they'd be special places that you'd have to come and conquer to actually get access to. But it wouldn't have a specific or death or nature or chaos or whatever. It wouldn't have a specific flavor to it. Yeah. So let's see here, and also in addition to that, you can just build mana producing places, which of course cost upkeep. Now, everything kind of cost upkeep to a certain extent. That would cover the ability of hexes to kind of repair themselves from damage and whatever. So you have to kind of balance gold production with your expansion. Yeah, I've thought about the different races. The different races would kind of be similar, although I would axe nomads, because nomads not technically a race, it's more like a lifestyle. So, but I'd probably use humans, elves, halflings, whatever down the line. If you rush buying, you can spam improvements and forgo anything else and don't even focus on money improvements. Well, that probably wouldn't be how it is. First of all, you'd pay a lot more money. I mean, that eventually would pay off. It's a couple of things. First of all, yeah, you've got to worry about being attacked. So you've got to have kind of an army. You could just spam a bunch of money producing stuff, but you're going to pay 4 times or whatever it is the real cost for if you just buy something immediately. Kind of most systems have that. It's more expensive, so it's not something you could do all the time. But you also have things like corruption. I wanted the distance modifier to be a thing. The further away you are from your tower, your starting tower, the more corruption. Which to mitigate that, you have to within these hexes that you're building, you have to probably build some. I guess I'm just going to call them courthouses, which reduce the amount of corruption in the surrounding hex or surrounding area. So you couldn't just go full money. I mean, you could, but you would be giving up some other things. I wouldn't want to limit anybody in really how they play. You can do what you want, but there's kind of a give and take, right? There's a cost. Mana places might be in faith. Yeah, I didn't want to add religions to this because that's a little bit. I don't know. I don't think I ever liked the religious system in Civ 4. But yeah, I didn't want to have the mana producing stuff. I just wanted I don't know, just straight mana, not to be a particular flavor. Hold on, let me talk a little bit about. So there's also some stuff I wanted to do about population. Yeah, improvements will have upkeep to them, yes. So each, so you do have to have some money just to pay for the upkeep, and the upkeep, well, there's upkeep and then there's corruption, and the corruption can be reduced. The upkeep, you're going to have to, they're always going to have to pay that. Anyway, okay, we wanted to talk a little bit about, oh yeah, population. So, I don't know, I was thinking of doing it each hex has its particular, has a race that's in it, and that has a population level. which can fluctuate somewhat, and that population level will determine how like productive. Like a really high population hex will, you know, produce more of whatever than a lower population hex. And I'm not. This is one of those areas where I'm not quite sure, and I need to get kind of like a build together to really figure out how best to do this. But basically, you can move your population around. Like you can take one hex and you can, you know, just get rid of that race there, and you can put another race in. But of course, that's going to affect your relations with the race that you just kind of eliminated from the hex. So you start with your race like set, like you can choose it in Master of Magic, but later on you can, you know, conquer hexes with other races, and you know, of course, if you have another race, a hex with another race, you have access to their like specific units, etc. Yes, the city might have more than one race on it. It's individual hexes, So you might start with human, you know, or something, and then you conquer some hex with elves in there, and then you've got access to them. And then you can maybe spread them around to other hexes if you want, because maybe they have like a bonus of some type for a particular tile. Undead planned, yeah, I thought Undead would be fun. Yeah, Annihilation, well, you could do that, but again, your you know, Diplo points with certain races will be affected if you decide to wipe them out of hexes. Yeah. Dwarves will be corrupt and greedy. No, but also, you know, having say a barracks, you know, somewhere within a certain radius, it would reduce the say unrest of other races in your empire, things like that. Yeah. Let's see here, a tile. Let's see. Yeah, tiles would be like plains, hills, swamps, rivers. So there'd be a base terrain for the tiles. Then on top of that, there might be like a bonus resource, like say gold or silver or whatever, or wood or something like that. Say it's a forest. And then on top of that, you could build an improvement. And that's kind of like, you know, layered, you know, hex data right there. And then, of course, the population that's in there. What about magic books? I didn't... Okay, well, let me talk about the magic thing. I didn't... To be honest, there's nothing wrong with a magic book system, but I kind of didn't want to do it like that. First of all, in Master Magic, as you know, you couldn't pick life and death at the same time in the base game. No worker units, Aldoon. I don't like moving around worker units. You just, you know, everything's done building from your capital, basically. Yeah, building improvements through the town production. I didn't want worker units at all. But anyway, the spell system. So, yeah, I didn't really like the book system. It was okay, but I didn't. I thought maybe something more like this. So you've got, let's say, you know, air, fire, water, earth, light, and dark, right? Those magic categories. So you could, from the very start, you could say, okay, I would do it by percentages, right? So I would say, okay, let's put 50% into air magic. That would mean a 50% reduction in the cost to cast, the cost to research air magic, and maybe even the upkeep. So, and then you could do that if you wanted to. Then for extra points, you could go down to, say, earth magic, and you say, okay, let's go in the opposite direction. Let's go negative 50 or negative 100 or whatever. And so my earth magic is going to cost like double. It's going to take double to research, but I get more points to spend with the picks though. So it's a detriment, but I get more points, and then I can put maybe those other points into something else. And I would say you can combine anything you want. You can have life and death at like, you know, higher than normal. Have I considered why I'm into strategy games? I've considered it a lot, but that's not the discussion for this stream here. Let's see. I would say same type of spell system you research or you find in say dungeons, polys. So same type of idea. I would just get rid of the books and I would say, look, you want to research any spell you want. Start with the different categories. You can say, okay, let's research, light magic. You could do that even if you don't have any particular bonus there. It's just how fast is it going to be? The bonus will be set at the start and maybe actually be able to be improved later. But at the start, you pick the bonus. You say, okay, maybe I have a 10% bonus to life magic. Maybe that means it reduces everything like the cost and the research requirements by 10%. If I have no bonus, I can still research it. That's fine. It's just going to probably be a while. Leader traits. Yeah, leader traits would be the same on the same screen, just like it is in Master Magic. And I would say, I would probably add a lot, but there's some good ones there. The warlord, things like that. Charismatic, although I would change that to actually be useful. Let's see. Global warming. Well, I don't intend to have global warming. You don't have to worry about that. Maybe a spell that causes something similar, but let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So other traits. What was the other traits that did I write any down? I might not have written any down. Yeah. Basically, a lot of the same traits, but probably some added too. Race RNG, will the tech tree be set in stone? No tech tree polys, but a research tree. You mean a research tree for spells? I'm not sure about the research tree for the spells. I did in a little way. I did actually like the randomness to that, but maybe it would be better to have a literal. I don't know. I think I like a little bit of mystery in what spells you're gonna get. So there might be some question as to, what you can actually research as far as the spells. I do like a little bit of mystery there, to be honest. Yeah, no tech tree for stuff you can build though. Stuff you could build would be based on what buildings you had on the hexes. So let's see. Anything else here? I also was thinking. Oh, yes. Materials. So, resources, right? Strategic resources. When will I choose which families of magic are available to your leader? Yeah. Aldoon, I was talking about that. Yeah, I was saying that I would have 6 magical categories. I would have earth, air, fire, water, light, and dark. And you would be able to research any of those. All of those would be available to your leader. However, the speed at which you could research them and the bonus you had to casting them would be determined by what bonuses you picked in those categories when you were designing your leader. So it wouldn't be like you don't have a book in, nature magic, so you can never cast nature. It would be like, well, you didn't put any bonuses in earth magic. Therefore, it's going to be quite expensive to research earth magic, and it's quite expensive to cast earth magic. But you can still do it. An Armageddon countering game. Well, definitely need Armageddon spells. That stuff's really fun, so you definitely got to do that. Well, yeah, like an undead. Well, undead would be your race that you picked. You wouldn't really pick anything. Well, maybe you would have something there with your leader, but let's say that to get more points, you put a big penalty in your light magic abilities, right? So then you could get healing, which is a light magic spell, but it would take a long time to actually research it if you researched it, and to cast it would be really expensive. And if you had an undead race as your race primarily, then you probably wouldn't get much use out of it anyway. But you could still do it if you wanted to. Yeah, I don't like when games, stop you from doing things. I think you should allow people to do as much as they want, even if it doesn't seem like it makes any sense if that's the way they want to play. That's kind of how I like to design my games. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, strategic resources. So, yeah, so I wanted strategic resources. I wanted kind of like, this is kind of cool, and I've never seen this really in too many games. I saw this in XCOM Apocalypse, but I wanted kind of like a marketplace for resources, right? That you could literally go in there and say, okay, I don't have any wood, you know, I can't find any, I can't trade any with any of the AIs, but I want to buy some wood. So it's like, okay, you really want to buy some wood, so here you go. You spend a bunch of money, and you can buy the wood at whatever, like, the market price would be at that time, based on, you know, how many people have been selling wood, you know, a number of factors, maybe the season or something like that. When will we see the next Heroes 3 campaigns? I don't know, Nick. I'm probably going to do more Heroes 3 next week, so yeah, next week is probably going to be 2 Heroes 3 streams. Maybe we'll do a campaign next week. Anyway, so same thing with like steel or whatever. Maybe you need steel. Maybe you might have needed the wood to make like a building or two, right? Or make a building or wood. Yeah, make a couple of buildings. But you need the steel. You know, maybe you need some swordsmen or something like that. But you can't find any on the map, etc. So you buy that at a you know, steep cost. You know, and I was thinking of quite a few resources there. So you know, so even if you can't find anything anywhere, if you got the money, you can shell it out, and you can buy the resource. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Population control. Yes. Okay. Influence. Stacked in. Okay. Army stacked in 1 hex can defend all surrounding hexes. Okay. Hexes can be pillaged. So if you go to war with somebody and you start pillaging their tiles, you get a percentage of what the tile is worth in like currency, let's say, or maybe even resources. Oh yes, summoning spells. You know, the great thing about the cool thing about Master of Magic was the summoning spells. So this version also, you got the summoning spells. You know, really high level. You can summon a really high level monster. They work just like heroes or any other unit. You know, they can have unique stats. They can have spells. You know, they, you know, you can give them, you know, bonus traits if you know, like, somehow do that with a spell or something like that. So, you know, they're unique units. They have a level. Space Scavenger, new plans for that? Nah. I really don't have any new plans for that. This is the game I want to do here. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let's see here. Capital expands from there. Okay. All production from the capital. Capital farming hex. Okay. I think I mentioned most of this stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, no, these are my notes from when I was doing Space Scavenger. Yeah, I like, this is where I keep all my notes on games that I either have done, plan to do, or whatever. I'm not calling it a Master Magic remake. I'm not calling it that. No, I'm calling it, it's a Call of the Spiritual Successor, but I don't intend to use the name Master Magic. I'm just doing this to like kind of relate to people what I'm actually making here. Yeah. Okay, so, well, I think I've gone over most of this. I'm sure I've forgotten plenty, but let me go talk about, see here, let me load up some of the unit stuff here. Alright. Just for fun. Have I talked about Heroes Progression System? Yes, I have, Vadim. So I was thinking, because I wanted a game with lots of units. It'd be more like akin to the Civ 4 level of units, you know, where you got like hundreds, maybe even thousands of units. What would be the name then? I have no idea, Gaurav. I have no idea. This is like, I'm calling it Project X for now because I have no idea what to call it yet. I'm not very good with names, but we'll figure something else out. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so because I wanted so many units, I didn't want the user to be overburdened with having to pick all the levels and all the, where the stats go. So I thought maybe just going ahead and let the level ups be automatic. Add some variation, like a unit might gain this or that ability on a level up. You don't control that, but at the same time have plenty of options for the user. Like if they want to, one of the things I wanted was maybe like a guild's, hex improvement where a unit could, they could give a unit a certain skill or something like that, and plus, plenty of spells where you could change the unit, like Master of Magic had Chaos Channels, or what was the other one with the Undead? It had ways that you could literally alter the unit, to your, more or less to your liking. Maze Quest: The Lost World. Yeah, I could just rename it after Maze Quest somehow. I don't know. But anyway, so, level progression, really high level progression units start at level 1 maybe, or maybe if you trained a unit in a high level barracks, you start at level 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. But, you go up to, level, you could go up to level 100 probably in a game. So it wouldn't, it'd be a very, it'd be a steep level progression, right? There would be no limit on the level. You could, if you could get there, you could make a unit like a level 1,000 if you wanted to. And also I wanted the ability to actually like buy levels, like literally like have your unit train in a building and say, okay, let's actually increase this unit's level without actually going into combat. Maze Quest Empire, there you go. Yeah, well, if anybody, if you have a good name that's not used on Steam, let me know. We'll try it out. Maze Quest Kingdoms. Oh, did you just show up, Matthew? Yeah, I guess you just showed up. Okay, well, the idea is a spiritual successor to Master of Magic. I want to make a strategy game, and that's how I want to make it. Hi. So, yeah, so unit level progression. Well, let me talk about what, let's see, the unit stats that I had kind of in mind. Let's see, can I still, Okay, so, alright, so, the Maze Quest 2 system was kind of okay, although I'm not necessarily going to follow that. But, when we see some footage, yeah, well, I'll try to get something together here. I just need some time to actually work on it. So, health, mana. Health is, for hit points. Mana is for casting spells. Maybe stamina. A melee attack and a ranged attack, if available. And those will be like, in different flavors. Like maybe a melee attack might, have first strike or something like that. Oh, yes, I think it's Atari, Aldoon. What kind of program do I use to make games? I use Unity. How much overlap gameplay-wise your remake will have compared to Heroes of Might and Magic? Oh! Andres, you are very... That's very ambitious. You want me to remake both those games? Well, it'll definitely have some, it'll definitely have some flavor of Heroes of Might and Magic. I wouldn't say I'm shooting for it, but I'm sure that you'll probably be you'll probably enjoy it if you enjoy that game. Strictly turn. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that yet, Aldoon. The question is whether will there be like a speed stat, so each unit will individually move, at a certain rate, or will I just make it turn-based, like one side moves, the other side moves? I'm not quite sure about that yet, Aldoon. I haven't actually. I'm not sure. Hopefully, random morale triggers. I don't know. I doubt if I'll have that mechanic. I don't really. I don't like things that make strategy games too random. I like things that I like it just to be as much as possible, kind of pure skill. But anyway, okay. So melee attack, range attack, skills that reduce range damage. So you have a set of skills, and the great thing about this is these can be flags, so it won't take up too much memory. Master Spellquest. There you go. Yeah. So spells that the unit have, I believe the unit should be able to learn just about all combat spells. And so that could be like if we had, it could be like 6. Let's see, 6 times. Let's see, 32. Let's say there are 32 spells for each category. So 6 times 32 is whatever the hell that is, 180. No, 190 something. So, but that's not really like as far as the actual amount of space taken up. That's really not that bad. That's that's let's see, 6 times 4. That's 24 bytes for just the spells. Yeah. So we can keep all the spells on there, so the unit can have every spell in the game if it wants, uniquely. Again, a unit might learn a spell in the battle just maybe because they saw somebody else use it, right? Maybe there's a small chance of that. So we got that data, the spell data. Their abilities, like, abilities again, like first strike, things like that, they're just flags. So we can have a ton of those. Balancing spell schools will be interesting. I don't think it'd be too hard. So we just have a huge number of flags for the abilities like first strike, etc. Again, that's not a lot of data. There are like individual skills like health and mana that'll take a little bit more. So I think I calculated that maybe at maximum we might need 500 bytes per unit. And 500 bytes per unit, let's say there's 1,000 units, it's 500,000 maximum. Like for 1,000 units, 500,000 bytes is pretty manageable. You figure like each side could maybe have 1,000 units or something like that. The actual number of units, I believe, should be limited by the food. Let's say, directly the number of farms you have built in your, hex city. So there will be like a hard limit of some kind based on what you can feed or whatever. Maybe the undead will be based on something else. Yeah, I mean, you figure like 500,000 bytes, and maybe there's 6 players, so times 6 is 3 megabytes. That's nothing. 3 megabytes, let's say 10 megabytes for a save game. I don't know. Nowadays, is that a lot? That's not a whole lot. That's not a whole lot for a strategy game. Will Heroes be a game changer like Master of Magic or Heroes of Might and Magic 4? I think they should be powerful and, but they won't be really quite as unique as they were in that game. They won't be quite as unique as they were in that game because every unit, like you'll make a swordsman, and for that swordsman, you can give him special equipment. He can maybe level and maybe he can learn spells. Just, maybe you can physically teach him spells by training him in a certain building. So, heroes will be like, there'll be special versions of these units in the sense that they'll be a little bit higher in level. Their stats will probably be higher. They'll be more expensive. But they won't really be game-breaking like they will be in, like, Master of Magic, they were game-breaking because they were so unique. But in this game, they won't be quite as unique. They'll be good, but they won't be quite as unique because basically every unit will be a hero, technically, in terms of what you can do with them. Figures per unit paradigm, I don't really see a reason to put that in there. There was one reason to put that in there, and that was so a unit could take damage and it would be weakened. But I'm thinking of having a unit be weakened when it takes damage anyway to a certain extent. So I'm thinking of adding that kind of mechanic anyway, so that the figure thing is not really needed. Might versus magic is never balanced. Well, it doesn't have to be. Games don't have to be perfectly balanced to be fun. You like figures? I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, is it worth messing with? It's an extra kind of complication. Maybe. I'm not really sold either way. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to pinpoint here, Vadim, is that kind of a effect, right? Every unit, like you hire a swordsman, and he's just a plain old swordsman, but you might be able to teach him some spells. You might be able to buff him up. You might be able to give him special equipment, and he might be actually a fairly interesting swordsman. Yeah, they could be there visually. There's no real problem with that. I was just thinking, as far as the mechanics go, there's no real need, but you know, what the heck? It's not something that really I'm too worried about either way. It could go that way. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, the idea, yeah, as far as the unit's obsolete, I don't think, if you hired a swordsman day one and you kept getting that guy experience and he survived, and you kept getting, pouring resources into him to make him better, then by the end of the game he might be like level 90 or something like that, and he would actually be a really good unit. Okay, Aldoon. Anyway, so, well, I think I might have run out of things to say there. Other than I really want to do this. I've been itching to make this game for a while, and I'm kind of getting like homesick for actually building the game again. So, to do this, we would have to go because my brother doesn't really have the interest in funding another thing for a year and a half. So this would basically have to be Kickstartered or another one of those type forums. Basically, the money, we would probably have to do a Kickstarter. Yeah. So as far as when that will happen, I'm not sure. I have to get together a prototype, something that I can do a Kickstarter video with and say, okay, this is like my idea. This is how it's going to work. This is kind of what it's going to look like. So that's, like I said, maybe a month and a half of probably solid work. And of course, right now I'm doing a lot of streaming. I don't really have a lot of free time, but I'm going to be looking into maybe like somehow getting that time. I don't know how yet. But anyway, so what I would need from you guys, if once that Kickstarter does happen, is I need you guys to kind of spread the word, would be kind of the biggest thing. So, stream working? Stream working. That's kind of difficult, actually, because I don't think my computer can handle, like, Unity being running, cranking away, and streaming at the same time. But I would definitely do some like update streams and maybe even some more streams like this. Maybe more game development design streams in the future. Definitely if this happens. Yeah. Master Magic remake by whom? I'm kicking around ideas of me maybe actually not remaking it officially, but doing a spiritual successor. So, yeah, I think I've got, it's just exposure. This game does have some, still has some hardcore fans. Yeah, I did think about the art style of the game. I would go probably something that it would be hand-drawn, but it would kind of look rendered a little bit. It's not that hard, it's just a matter of the money. I could do it. I just need the funding. That's That's really kind of like the next step is to somehow get the funding. So anyway, well, I'm kind of tired because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but I will keep you guys updated on this. So we got 36 people at least interested in this, and you know, we put our heads together, we can make this happen. What's the chance of that? I would say 0% chance, because I'm pretty sure like somebody's already tried to get the rights to that, and I think they offered some fairly large amount of money, and it was refused. Kickstarter campaigns, yeah, they're time limited. Indiegogo, I don't know about Indiegogo. I'd have to look into some of those other options. Oh, I know Faith Slayer. I know. Actually, it's like a lot of these Kickstarters end in disappointment. I know. Okay. All right, Van. Well, okay. I'll keep you guys updated. And thanks for showing up. Thanks for being interested here. Like I said, we'll see what happens. We're just in the kind of the infancy of this, but infancy. But it's something I really want to do, and I'm gonna kind of find a way to do it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the idea sharing here. So I guess I'll see you guys Monday. Monday I'm doing a live stream of portrait drawing. So anyway, see you guys later. And all right, yeah, need a fundraiser with live super stream chats. Okay, all right. All right, thanks a lot.